Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to KHM Today. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and I am so excited to be here with you on this 26th day of May. It's just an amazing day. I know so many of you have been celebrating milestone events these last couple of weeks, high school graduations, college graduations. My youngest today finished 8th grade for after 14 years at the same school. We have now exited the campus. I have to say, it's a little emotional. I thought I'd be super excited and happy, but there's a little bit of tears going on as well. So hopefully I'll keep it together throughout the show. We have some fantastic guests here for you today. And before the floodgates start, let's get a check of the headlines with Chantel Nye from the education team here at KHM Travel Group. Welcome, Chantel.
Oh, no crying, no crying.
No crying. I know it's been a few years since you've had those little ones. I think I'm just excited too that it's not like a little one, like that jump from
Right,
preschool to kindergarten or kindergarten to first grade. I think I'll be
right.
okay in a little bit.
No, you will. But I completely understand. And you know what today is? Happy National Paper Airplane Day.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Did you know that? I heard that
I didn't know
coming into work today. Okay, let's start off our
We
headlines.
have some great headlines.
We do. So the first one, I think we all did a very big happy dance on Monday when we found out that the Alaska Tourism Restoration Act was signed, sealed, and delivered. Temporarily allows foreign flag ships to sail directly from Washington State to Alaska without having to dock in Canada first until either the date on which Canada lifts restrictions prohibiting cruise ships from docking in its waters due to COVID or March 31st of 2022. So be checking your emails because these cruise lines each and every day are coming out fast and furious with schedules wanting to start their Alaska season. Looks like it's going to be mid-July. And I thought I even saw some that are actually going to go into like the end of September, early October, so they can kind of make up for the time that they're losing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is great
Yes.
news. Second headline, Verifly. Do you have this app,
Well,
Carolyn?
so interestingly enough, when I read this headline from you this morning, I reminded myself I do have to download it for my trip that's coming up in a couple weeks. But I will say, I just did this with the United app.
Exactly. Yes, United has their own way to upload your information, but this is continuingly to grow. American Airlines is really the first airlines to offer it to its customers, but they have over 800,000 active users departing from more than 60 countries and 6 continents. So this provides clear information that you can keep in one place that customers and governments can trust, and it enables customers to complete all travel requirements in one simple app while securing the data and safeguarding confidential information. So if you don't have it, download it because this is going to be very popular.
This is great. And if you've already lost your card, like I have, believe it or not, right? I put it somewhere, you guys, that I thought was safekeeping. Now I can't find it. But if you go to the health system that you use to get your shot, you can download an actual copy of your card.
Okay, good to know.
I was a little worried.
So the next headline, Royal Caribbean gets the okay nod from the CDC to conduct test sailings. Now, I know we're all a little confused because they kept going back and forth, back and forth. Are there going to be test sailings? No, yes. So Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas is approved to do a simulated voyage from June 20th to the 22nd. And the reason is test cruises are a mandatory part of the CDC's conditional sailing order unless the cruise operator can attest that 98% of the crew and 95% of passengers on board have been vaccinated. Royal Caribbean Group CEO Richard Fain said Monday that Royal Caribbean would allow families with children under 12 who are not eligible for the vaccination to cruise with a negative PCR test, meaning the line has to conduct the trial sailings in order to obtain CDC approval. So under any scenario, anyone who is eligible for vaccines will be vaccinated, Richard Fain said. But Royal Caribbean carries a lot of families, and families are very important to them. On these cruises, we may not reach the 95% threshold, but the vast majority will be vaccinated. So that is a great answer to that question.
Awesome.
So just keep that in mind.
I like
Now
this
we're gonna,
almost makes me
yeah.
want to cry, right? I just feel like there's joy here in these headlines, Chantel.
I know, I'm loving them. So the next one, okay, it gets even better. For those of you who are a new or existing Mileage Plus member, United has this new sweepstakes called Your Shot to Fly. You have to upload your vaccination record into the airline's mobile app, like you just said, or website. Until June 22nd, it can be entered to win a round trip flight for two in any class of service to anywhere that United flies. They are going to give away 30 pairs of tickets through the months of June. And then on July 1st, United will announce 5 randomly selected lucky Mileage Plus members who have entered the sweepstakes for a grand prize of travel for a year for themselves and a companion in any class of service, anywhere they fly.
So I did this, and this is how I found out that I'd lost my card, because I couldn't find it to upload for the sweepstakes. So I'm excited. I will let you guys know when I win. And I just, way to make something that maybe might not be wonderful into
Yes.
something that is at least a little cheerful. So well done.
I completely agree. And I want to be your plus one. I want to be your companion.
Absolutely.
And the last, this is something fun. So, would you want to experience the California redwood trees at 100 feet off the ground? Why do I do these things that have to do with heights when I don't like heights? So on June 4th, Sequoia Park Zoo in Eureka will debut the Redwood Skywalk, allowing visitors to wander a quarter-mile route that's 100 feet off the forest ground. Even with a boost, the upper canopies of the trees reach about 250. So you're about halfway up. The self-guided experience starts at a gateway that leads to a 360-foot long ramp, ascending into the network of 9 platforms, each with a different perspective of the forest. The total out and back path is 1,104 feet, making it the longest skywalk in the Western U.S. This is something else that's fantastic. There aren't any stairs, so the experience is ADA accessible. The only exception to that and stability is the adventure leg of the walk, which is 369 foot long, 3 foot wide stretch of square open mesh decking, which has a sway, but you don't have to do that. So I think this is amazing. And you can buy a ticket. One ticket will allow you into the Skywalk and the Sequoia Park Zoo. And I didn't know this. The Sequoia Park Zoo is the oldest accredited zoo in the Golden State.
Wow. So
Yeah.
This sounds like another, like that thing that's in Las Vegas over the Grand Canyon. That, right?
The glass, the Skywalk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know that this is for me, but hey, no. I would love to hear if someone loves it.
So that's today's headlines.
Thanks, Chantel, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, you guys, every single week this month for our Fam Forward month, we have had a fantastic segment on how to make the most of your fam trip. And so our next guest keeps us on our toes with tips to sell, and he has his webinars with KHM Travel Group each month. Please welcome Tim Smith to help us close out our Fam Forward month. And Tim's segment is sponsored by Expedia Tap, your resource for flights, rental car, hotels with easy cancellation policies, and activities. Welcome, Tim.
Wow, that's a great commercial you just did.
Right? I mean, did you ever think there'd be a day where you'd be sponsored by someone?
No, that's exciting. I was all excited for Paper Airplane
Day, right? I missed the boat on that one. So like I mentioned, all month we've been giving tips each week to agents on how to make the most of their fam trips. And as we know, fam trips they're a lot of fun, but they're also a lot of work. And so each week we've been providing them with tools and resources to take video, take pictures, post it on social, and kind of make the most of it. But at the end of the day, we want to come home and turn all of that information into a sale. So what tips do you have for us today that are going to help us close the deal and get a return on our investment when it comes to traveling on a FAM?
Well, trips are so much fun. And what I notice on any of those trips I've been to or seminars that I go to, when I get back home, I'm excited. You know, I'm at a different level of excitement than just every day, right? And so my question for all the agents out there is, what do you call water at 211 degrees?
I don't know.
Hot water.
It's hot, yeah.
Okay, but what do you call water at 212 degrees?
Super, super hot.
Boiling water. And so what happens is just that 1 degree difference that you get from going on a FAM trip or going on a seminar or a boot camp or whatever types of things that are provided just pushes you over the edge. And you have a level of excitement that you normally don't have. All right. And what I found out in sales after 40 years is you can take that to your advantage. A lot of times you're talking to somebody and you're kind of getting some resistance, but when they see that excitement, when they see that enthusiasm that you have, that's a lot of times enough just to kind of push them over the edge. And you know, when you're talking to people, I have a thing. You know, somebody will tell you no, okay? And salespeople, you know, a lot of salespeople, they take no as like a punch in the gut. You know, no, oh, I'm stuck. You know, I don't take it that way at all. The way I hear no is no, based on the information you've given me so far. And what happens when you get back from one of those trips? You're talking to somebody and say, you know, I just got back from Mexico, or I just got back from Hawaii or Florida, and they're going like, well, you know, I'm not that interested. But wait a minute, let me just tell you this one thing that happened. And you just have that little extra level of excitement that you normally don't have. Mm-hmm. And you know what happens? That enthusiasm is contagious. You know, it goes on to that person. And so to me, you use that enthusiasm to help you close the sale. And what I tell people is that's when you ask for the sale. And sometimes salespeople are a little bit nervous about asking for the sale and say, you know, I think it's time that you book that trip. You've been talking about it for 3 months. Darn, let's get that trip booked right now. And a lot of times the people go, okay, you know, because you got that extra little oomph in there that you normally never would have had. And then if you're afraid to do it like that, say, I know you've been talking about going to Mexico, or I know you've been talking to go on that cruise. I'll tell you what, we got a cruise that's leaving in August, and we got one leaving in September. What would be the best time for you to leave? Right. And instead of saying yes or no, they're coming, they're picking the time they're going. And sometimes it's a lot easier for them to say yes to something like that. So that's my tip for today.
Yeah, so Tim, it really sounds like we have to be proactive, that if someone has commented on a post or a video, reach out to them. Don't wait for them to reach out to you. You reach out to them and say, I saw you commented on my post. Would you like more information on this? What dates work for you? Is that kind of the message?
Well, it definitely is. It's funny, I do these sales webinars, you know, and they call me the sales animal because I use an animal on each one. And I'll watch the people that come and watch that webinar, and then I'll call some of those people after it's over. And they're like, oh my gosh, Tim Smith is calling me. And you're just giving them that little bit of excitement that they normally probably wouldn't have gotten. And so, you know, strike while the iron is hot. You're excited, they're excited. That's the best time to close that sale.
Right. Well, and I think every one of our messages throughout the course of the week with FAM Forward is do something with the material and the information you're gathering. Don't just let it sit on your phone or sit in a notebook. You have to do something with it. So we'll be proactive. I know we will. And thanks so much for being here.
Well, it's like Gretzky said, the famous hockey player, he goes, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
So if you get those people, give them a call, give them an email, give them something.
Oh, Tim, thank you so much for being here, and enjoy Airplane Day. Paper
Okay,
airplane
well,
day. Go have some
hold on.
fun.
One more time. Here we go. Whoa, fly away.
Oh, Tim, thank you. Kid at heart for sure.
All right.
Have a good one. Oh, you guys. Our next guest is the health and wellness expert for Apple Leisure Group. I love having him on because he is a firm believer in both physical and mental wellness being components to your success. This segment is sponsored by Apple Leisure. Apple Vacations, America's favorite vacation company for Mexico, Caribbean, Hawaii, and so much more. Welcome, David Pritchard. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, especially that it is Senior Health and Wellness Day. So happy to be a part of it.
It is. So, it just happens to be Senior Health and Wellness Day and National Paper Airplane Day, which I did not realize. But really, the message is there doesn't need to be a day for this, and there doesn't need to be maybe an age group for this. It really applies to all, and what we do now really impacts our future.
100%. This year, we have a theme I like to try to connect to. And this year, it's really about rising up. Even what Tim was talking about, you'll miss the shots you don't take. The same thing with your health and wellness. I think if there's anything this last year has taught us is our standards need to be raised. The way we used to feel, the way we used to work, it's all different. We need to now create a different level for ourselves and rise up because there's so much out there that's waiting for us. We have the ability to feel good every day and have energy. Now, it might not be like what we used to have back in our 20s. I went and played basketball with my son on Tuesday. They needed an extra player on his team. I'm still feeling it. I'm in my 40s. I'm like, I definitely don't feel like I'm in my 20s. But one of the things I remember from my mentor, Jack LaLanne, and we all remember Jack LaLanne. My mom did his workout in our family room. I watched her. He would always say he didn't believe in anti-aging workouts. He believed in aging well workouts. Mm-hmm. And I love the way that sounds because it makes it sound like I'm trying to go younger. And it's not that. How do I get to do something now that makes me feel at the age I am? How do I, listen, travel, right? When we travel, it takes a toll on our body. And who doesn't want to travel well? And when we have more energy, we're strong, we're fit, that whole experience is enhanced.
Mm-hmm. So what are your tips for making this a priority every day? I know that it's really hard when the emails are coming in and the to-do list is so long. How do we make fitness a priority? And we should say fitness, but also almost maybe even that mental piece, that wellness piece, the meditation, the yoga, 10 minutes of quiet. How do we make that a priority?
Especially being May is Mental Health Awareness Month. To me, every month is that now. And you're absolutely right. Self-care, mental health, fitness. Listen, first and foremost, your core values. Now, every company, KHM I'm sure has it, ALG has it. We have core values. They're on the wall. Everybody sees them. So I challenge everyone listening. What are your personal core values? Now, I know mine is to be my healthiest and best for my family because I don't have great health history in my family. We don't last long. We die early. Not to sound, negative, but yeah. So for that, to me, the core values of my health are so important. So I connect it to my values, and then that then connects to rituals, right? So when we want something bad enough, just like in your work, and you have that why, then you say, well, what are the things I need to do every day to help that become a reality? So embrace your reality would be number 2. So first, find your core values. Number 2 is, what can you do? Do what you can when you can. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. It doesn't need to be, I need to go to the gym for 2 hours. I need to get equipment at home. Just move your body. Start eating a little healthier. Drink a little bit more water. Try to get a little better sleep. It doesn't need to be this huge, big, robust program. It can just be small little things that add up to massive results in time.
Well, and the message is so clear. As advisors, we are so good at rituals, right?
Right.
We have a process for researching. We have a process for communicating with a client. We have a process after we've made the booking. So putting this into our process should, in actuality, be something that we're comfortable with. I think it's finding that thing that we actually like doing. So if I'm sitting in my office for 8 hours a day, what are some exercises that I can do while I'm either working or sitting on hold, or how can I kind of do double duty?
Right. I love that question. You know, it brings me back to the days I used to work at Zappos, and one of my friends was the head wellness guy there, and we had a huge contact center, and he would come up with the most clever things to get his agents off the chair or even staying in the chair. And they all had the headsets with the wire plugged in. So listen, you know, again, embrace where you are. You know, you probably can't leave your desk area because you're on hold and you're maybe working on a booking. So think about first your neck, right? I mean, take care of this area because this is where we hold a lot of our stress and a lot of our tension. So start with just some simple neck circles and think of your neck as a clock: 3, 6, 9, 12. And then do counterclockwise. And listen, no one even is going to know that you're doing this. You could be on hold, on a call with somebody. So it's easy things that's not going to interrupt your flow of work. And then the next thing I would do is, again, another area that gets a lot of tension is that upper back, is just gently pushing through that elbow. So you're stretching out that shoulder and that arm a little bit. And you're going to hold that there for about 10 seconds. You're not jerking, you're not bouncing, let it. I always say, listen, your body's meant to move and bend and twist, but if it doesn't go there right away, just give it some time. You know, it's meant to go there, it just hasn't been there in a while. So then we're going to go to the other side, 10 seconds. So you're now taking care of that upper body area, right? And then my ultimate, my most favorite stretch is the stretch where you simply take your right leg and you cross it over your left leg. I'm going to move this back here a little bit. And then what you do is you gently push that knee down and you lean forward. Now, I always joke and say, don't give it CPR, right? Just gently push it down to where it says, that's enough. Then hold it. Now, that's going to stretch out that hip and that back. So you could do it right in your chair, then you go to the other side. And again, we're holding this for about 30 seconds. So crossover, 30-second hold. Again, nothing's interrupting your flow. Your headset's still on. You can still be talking. You can actually still be typing even. But then in between, what I would love for everyone to be able to do is get up out of their chair every hour, right? Listen, our musculoskeletal system is meant to open and be expanded. So when we sit, it actually shrinks like a slinky. So what we want to do every hour is just, if you can just stand up from your chair, give yourself a nice big stretch above your head, maybe a lean back, lean to the side, lean to the other side. Do that for about 20 seconds. And then if you can even give yourself a bigger gift, you would reach down towards your ankles and let your body just hang for about 30 seconds. And then you're going to feel so good. And you do that throughout your day. You maybe set the alarm on your phone to kind of bing to remind you, or there's actual programs you can put on your computer to kind of set timers for yourself. It's a game changer, I promise.
That's awesome. And they're so easy to do.
Right.
So a little bit of a side note, because we didn't discuss this, but I'm always fascinated because I am one of those people who I don't love to work out. I do it because it's something that needs to be done. But I do love certain types of exercise more than others. So what's your thought as an expert on things like Peloton and the Mirror and all of those things that are coming out? Is it worth it, or should you really just kind of stick with, you know, what you've got in your house and utilize what's essentially free?
Right. Listen, I'm a basic kind of guy. I mean, I try to teach the basics so then there's no excuses for anybody. When they ask me, well, what do I need to get? I'm like, nothing, your body. Just move your body, right? So that's why I really encourage, especially if the weather's nice everywhere now, getting outside and go for walks, go for hikes. Body weight movement and exercise is some of the best ways to train our body and get it stronger. But listen, those other tools like the Peloton and the Mirror, they're a little expensive, I know, but they do give you that value of it being at home. You don't have to go to the gym now. You don't have to drive and have that excuse. You know, over your lunch hour, you're like, I'm going to take a break for me for 30 minutes a day. That's not a lot to ask for, guys. Come on. Hop on that Peloton, it's staring at you. So those kind of things are nice to have. So having something at your house where then it takes the excuse out and it allows you to do multifaceted movements is a nice benefit as well. But you don't need it. If you were just to have your body weight, you moving, you setting time in your schedule for you, then if you wanted to upgrade, you can get some small dumbbells, you can get some bands that you can take with you, even travel with bands. You fit in your suitcase. So there's no excuses.
I love it. David, thank you so much for being here today. It's always a wonderful conversation. And I don't know about everyone else, but it just makes me start to intentionally put these moments into my calendar and say, got to work out, got to do this, got to do that. And I'm a calendar gal. So those 10 minutes, that notification is right up my alley.
That's right. And I love it. This is the year of the travel advisor, guys. And listen, if I can just leave you all with all this, you deserve it. You've been through so much and we're changing the way we're all working together, but you have to take care of yourself. You're worth it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
And there's our next guest. Our next guest has been busy all last week in Washington, D.C., literally making waves so we can all get back to sailing. Please welcome Zane Kirby, President and CEO of ASTA. Welcome, Zane.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Carolyn.
How are you today? Are you tired? I know, right?
My stretches, thank you.
Whenever David comes on, I always feel like I have to straighten up, and he'd be horrified if he saw how non-ergonomic my desk and work area was.
Probably here too.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. I am sure you're exhausted after last week. Let's start with kind of the big news. Alaska Tourism Restoration Act just passed a couple of days ago. So, you know, this allows for a temporary waiver for the Passenger Vessel Services Act, which is very, very old, and it allows those round trip voyages up to Alaska for our cruise ships. So, you know, I feel like this conversation with our congressmen and women seems almost easy, right? It's kind of a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't we want to get this going? Was it easy, or were there significant challenges? I mean, it's taken a while, but what were the challenges that you faced?
It feels like common sense, doesn't it? But I think that Mark Twain said, unfortunately, common sense isn't very common, and that's really what we found that certainly here to be the case on Capitol Hill. So about a month and a half ago, we were on the phone with Senator Mike Lee of Utah and 5 or 6 of his constituents, and we pointed this out to him. We said, this is a real challenge because the Passenger Vessel Services Act means that you know, we have to our foreign flagged ships have to make a foreign stop before they can come back to the United States. And I don't think it was quite on his radar just then, but it certainly was a few weeks later when he was on the Senate floor, and after the Alaska Recovery Act was introduced by Senator Murkowski, he just got up and, you know, I mean, Utah is not a big cruise state to my knowledge. I'm sure they have plenty of cruisers from Utah, but they certainly, you know, it doesn't border a sea or anything.
Right.
He absolutely hates self-inflicted regulatory wounds that we have. And so he got up and gave about a 10-minute diatribe on the Senate floor, talking about how silly this was, that it was protecting no one, that there hadn't been a ship built in the United States since the 1960s, and that this was only helping foreign governments. And after his speech, I think it passed the Senate on a unanimous vote, and I don't know, we can't. The partisan rancor here in Washington is pretty tough, but none of everyone everyone in the Senate kind of let that pass and let it go by, which was, I think, a really positive thing. Bills go to the Senate to die, and so the fact that it passed the Senate first was a really good thing. And so we want to certainly thank Senator Murkowski, also Senator Lee for their championing this issue. So then when we got to Legislative Day last week, we had 170 meetings with congressmen and women and representatives, and really talked to them about how important it was for them to pass this bill, which they, we went and talked to them on a Wednesday, and I think they passed their version of the bill on Thursday. I'm not sure if the president has signed it into law or not yet, but if he hasn't, I know he's got a lot on his plate, but he should sign it very soon.
Okay. So do you think, because this is an act from 1886, was there just a misunderstanding as to what it was about, or a lack of knowledge that it even existed?
I think it tells you that how hard it is to change laws and regulations. Now, the pandemic is kind of a unique sort of point in our history, but do you think that any time over the last 40 or 50 years we would have thought to revise the Passenger Vessel Services Act? It just hasn't happened, and it takes an enormous amount of political will and an enormous amount of courage, really, for people to undo laws that are already on the books. I'll give you a quick example. Some Department of Labor bureaucrat in the 1970s said that travel agents lack a retail concept, and so it made us ineligible for a retail service exemption, which puts agency owners in a pickle in terms of employing employees and having to pay them overtime. And so we've been fighting this for literally 4 or 5 years. We've been to the Department of Labor. We went to the administration. They told us to go to Congress. We went to Congress. Finally, in the waning hours of the Trump presidency, someone came to us from the Department of Labor and said, "We've stricken you from this Department of Labor blacklist." So you're now, it's kind of, with all that's been going on in the last year, it certainly was one of the sort of smaller things. But when times are good again, we're going to be really happy that we put in the hours and the work for a 4-year fight to get us removed from that Department of Labor service exemption blacklist. So, your question is, does it, it's a good one, but I think it shows you how ingrained and how inertia can kind of take hold, and why it's really important to try to maintain relationships here on the Hill, so that when the time is right, we can actually strike and make sure we get important things done.
So who were the folks last week, for lack of a better word, kind of campaigning for ASTA? Who were those people? Because I think a lot of the advisors on the call understand a little bit about ASTA, but maybe not everything that ASTA does.
Well, it was members from all over the United States. So ASTA has about 15,000 members, and certainly want to thank Rick Zimmerman for KHM support, and Bill Coyle is one of our local chapter presidents there in Ohio. He's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Bill was there. Rick unfortunately couldn't make it, but it's anyone who's interested in the business, right? You become citizen lobbyists for the day. And the great part about it is we bring you in a day, or you come in a day early, and we kind of train you up and help you understand the issues of the day, and then send you up on the Hill and let you talk to your key legislators, the people who are representing your district, and certainly your senators, the senators from your state as well. So it's really a really singular opportunity and experience that you might have. So much of our business is done on the phone and transacted with suppliers and being the go-between between suppliers and our customers. But this is really the opportunity for you to explain to legislators what your business is all about and the pressure points that are on you. So, the Alaska Recovery Act is one of our key priorities. But the second priority is something called getting the SAVE Act passed, and it's HR 2120. And what it would do is it would give travel advisors, it puts the census code for travel advisors to make us eligible for the shuttered venues program that's existing on the books. Congress a few months ago decided, hey, we really want to help out the people who might own a movie theater, or say a Broadway theater, and they have been unable to host any kind of events for the last however many months. So they dedicated a certain funding to them, $16 billion of funding to them. And unfortunately, we weren't in the original bill, but HR 2120 actually fixes that problem and makes us eligible for that grant. So I think we started a couple of weeks ago with 2 co-sponsors, a Republican and Democrat. Now we're up to 18 co-sponsors as of today. So it really shows you the power of when we come and explain ourselves, explain our issues to legislators, they're willing to get on board and help us where they can.
That's fantastic. And thank you for leading me to, that was my next question, was Alaska the only issue on the board? So clearly it wasn't. So there was a lot of good work done last week. What would you tell advisors on the call that maybe aren't part of ASTA? Why should they become part of the organization?
Well, if the last year hasn't convinced you that forces outside of your control can affect your business, then there's nothing that Zane Kirby can tell you. Yeah. But I will just say that if we hadn't held legislative days for the last 8 years and really kind of massaged and worked the relationships here in Washington on behalf of our members, I'm not sure that we'd have unemployment insurance for so many thousands of our independent contractor advisors. We certainly supported all the PPP programs for supporting the SAVE Act. I'm not sure who else is up here fighting to make sure that we get, not only relief, and we'll take relief in any of its forms, but dedicated relief for travel advisors specifically. The people here in Washington have so many people batting down their door trying to tell their story, that if you're not up here too and telling your story, you're going to get left behind. It's just the way it is. You're out of sight, you're out of mind. And if you're not organized and well funded and have spokespeople and people here sort of maintaining relationships, you're gonna be lost. And so what I'd say to anyone who's not a member is, boy, you really must have a direct bat phone to your congressman, and also you're able to convince them to do whatever they're supposed to do, and also convince all of their allies to do what you want them to do, which, the reality is none of us are like that. So it's important that we link arms together and walk up the hill and with one voice. So for anyone within the sound of my voice, I'd really encourage you, please join your National Trade Association. It's, we are of, by, and for travel advisors. That's who is on our board of directors. That's how we that we are the organization that is, the nerve center that responds to travel advisor pain. And really, we're the only game in town doing it. So if you don't join us, then you're making us less able to kind of deal with the world as we find it.
Right. And regardless of, there's so many benefits as well. I mean, there's great training available. There's great local chapter events. So there's great ways to get involved at all levels. So I thank you so much. I know this was probably, you're so tired this week, probably really needed a break, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Carolyn, thanks for having me.
All right, you guys. And we'll see you. I will see you in August at the national conference. I hope you'll join us during that week as well. All right, you guys.
Absolutely. I will see you at the ASTA Global Convention in Chicago.
Great. I'm so excited for the destination. It's a great city.
Super.
So thanks, Zane. Take care.
Thanks, Carolyn.
All right, you guys. So our next guest, when I got the email with the topic for our next segment, I laughed out loud and I thought, I love this lady already. So I feel like it's a perfect segue. It's a pleasure to welcome another member of our diversity, equity, inclusion team at KHM Travel Group to the show this week. Please welcome Wanda Thomas.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Carolyn?
The resort. I love it. This segment is brought to you by Norwegian Cruise Line, home to freestyle cruising. Visit nclcentral.com for more information and great offers for our clients. So I'm so happy you're here. And I literally, when I got the email with your segment title, I laughed out loud because, you do have to laugh. Do I suck or what? And so it's not a mistake that this topic is so eye-catching. I love that it's a frank question. So do I suck at my job, Wanda, or am I just being hard on myself?
Well, Carolyn, again, thank you for having me here, but I definitely wanted to make it clear, what does that mean? When we say we suck at our job, what does that mean? Think about kind of what it could stand for as an acronym. So the way I look at it is that we have a lot of self-imposed expectations on ourselves. So it's really, in my mind, we've created some self-imposed expectations A lot of times it's unrealistic expectations. And then in certain times it can really be, if you would, career sabotaging expectations, because we are creating kind of a scenario of keeping up with the Joneses, and we're trying to do more than really what maybe we even need to do or that we can do from that standpoint. And then lastly, thinking about the K, you know, maybe you picked the wrong key performance indicators. So again, that K is about, what am I measuring myself upon? In my mind, the only way you know if you are reaching the goals that you have is, number one, you've got to have something, you've got to have written down. Number two, you got to make sure you pick the right measurements to look at, and you have to look at them. You know,
Yeah.
so when I ask, do you suck or what? It's, have you really put so much pressure on yourself to keep up with others by having such unrealistic expectations? You don't know what your neighbor is when you look and see that, you know, that particular travel agent is making $1 million in a day, in a month, whatever the case may be. And you're going, wow, if they're doing that, I'm obviously not doing something right.
Right.
Well, you don't know their situation. As we all know, we've got full-time, we've got part-time, and as we know, there's really no such thing as part-time in the travel industry.
Right.
But you know, you've got different scenarios for each individual that either will create challenges or opportunities for them based on what that scenario is. So just because someone else is what you would consider is doing excellently, you may be doing just as excellently based on the variables that are a part of your world. And you really
Right.
need to think about that. Really definitely need to think about that.
So your goals are your goals, not the person sitting next to you.
That is correct. That's correct. We need to really, you know, kids, keep it simple, stupid. We need to
I
really,
love that. Yeah.
I mean, you know, we make it too complicated. You know, we, you know, especially when you're overachievers, and if you're an entrepreneur, generally you happen to be an overachiever because you're trying to do it on your own, you know? And if you don't keep it simple, stupid, you put so much additional pressure on you to get to places that, number one, you may not need to get to, or that are not realistic for you to get to based on your circumstances. What you need to do is look at, again, what the variables are within your world, only keep up with what your goals are. And that's a big key of that is, first of all, let's identify why I'm doing what I'm doing. Let's identify what is my purpose for what I'm doing. And then a part of that, let's take the opportunity to identify, where am I trying to get to in what I'm doing? You know, some people, it's monetary. I'm trying to get a certain amount of dollars as revenue, etc. Others, it's just, I like the freedom. I like the ability to travel. I want the perks, whatever the case may be. So each of those scenarios may have different sets of measurable goals that go along with them. And you've got to decide, what are those particular, again, I go back to KPIs, key performance indicators. What are those particular indicators that you need to start putting in front of you? You need to start looking at and tracking and identifying, am I meeting the goals that I've set for myself? Not what we're perceiving to be, because what you perceive to be is not what it is. And in my mind, coming from a financial background, the only way you know if you are truly meeting the expectation that you have for yourself in business is to track the numbers. You need to be able to put those numbers down, see if you've increased. And again, I think I said to you once before, a win is a win is a win. You know, if yesterday you didn't make any sales, you had no particular closed bookings, but today you've had 2, that's a win. So you have increased. You have made another step towards meeting whatever that goal is that you have for yourself, and not what you've imposed on yourself based on looking out the window over your shoulder to someone else that may not even be in the same realm as you with the variables that surround them.
Wanda, do you think it's better to maybe do, like, especially in our business, right? We have those long-term and short-term goals, but do you think it's smart to kind of set up like monthly goals as opposed to daily or weekly? I mean, I always equate it to, you know, those programs that say weigh yourself every day as opposed to weigh yourself once a week.
Right.
You know, what is it better to kind of have that monthly goal for our industry, or you know, weekly? What's in order to feel that success?
Yeah, I think numerology is very much a numbers person. Numerology tells you a lot. And, you know, I like to start off with a monthly goal, but then I need to, again, as we talk about those key performance indicators, how am I going to get to what the goal is that I've set for myself? If I'm saying I want $100,000 by the end of the month, well, I've got to look at it truly daily. I've got to break it down to say, you know, coming backwards, I've got to go, okay, how much is that every week? How much is that every day? Well, you also have to stop and say, but wait a minute, let me think about the trends within my week. You know, Monday may be the day that I'm normally doing tasks or whatever the other things are. I'm not really doing a lot of selling on those particular days. So when you look at the breakdown, you have to stop and say, you know, when are my best days for sales? Maybe that's Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe literally you do 50% of your business Wednesday and Thursday, and the rest trickles around 10% on some other days, things of that nature. So to answer your question, it does start, I think it is better to look at it from a monthly perspective, and then take that, though, to create actionable, measurable steps to reach that monthly goal. Break it down on a daily basis. And of course, the only way you know what your trends are and when you're going to be able to really hit those numbers is looking at when are the most productive times within that schedule. So if I'm doing it by each particular day, I need to identify which days are my best sales days, as an example.
And I think, you know, I still go back to the do I suck or what? I think we also, especially for our new agents, that our goals might not be measurable in the sense of numbers just yet, right? We have to crawl before we can walk and before we can run.
That's
so
correct.
Some of our goals could be, I'm going to take a training, I'm going to do this on this day. It doesn't so, you know, just because you don't necessarily have those numbers yet, doesn't mean you're not doing a good job at this job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to keep in mind that attitude is key to our aptitude. Yeah. We've got to have the right vision, the right focus, the right mindset to be able to reach whatever the goal is that we're trying to get to. It does not happen overnight. That was one thing that I definitely have said to a number of people, is that, you know, you come in and you think about people changing jobs. You know, you go from one role to another and it's a brand new role. And in the past role, you were the superstar. You were knocking everybody out of the park, you know, and now you've gone into something new and you're going, whoa, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, as it were. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to take the time, and again, going back to being realistic, think about what it took in that previous role to get you to the point where you were knocking out of the box. We don't all come out of the box running. Even as a baby, somebody takes care of us. We have to go to crawling, we have to go to walking, we go to running, and then Carolyn gets to cry because her baby is graduating from 8th grade.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Oh, I just love this. And I love your enthusiasm. And I love the fact, like, I just want to come see your office because I feel like you've got statistics everywhere.
I'm a numbers girl,
take
so I
down
got
the
charts.
screensaver and show me some statistics, because I think that you've got them plastered everywhere on your walls. Wanda, thank you so much for being here and for your enthusiasm. And I'm guessing we're going to see you again.
I hope so. I greatly appreciate you having me today, and I'm glad to have been here to provide the knowledge that I do have in regards to, again, keeping it realistic within the realm of where you are. So thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that we are seeing some cruises back in the water.
Amen.
I know that's your thing. That's your thing. Have a great rest of your week.
All right. Y'all do the same.
Oh, you guys, it's been a great show. Thank you to all our guests today for joining us. As a reminder, these shows will be on YouTube tomorrow morning if you'd like to touch base again with us. Thank you to our show sponsor, Apple Leisure Group, and our segment sponsors this week. You guys, next week we have the craziest conversation. I'm so excited. We've got the Director of Guest Relations for San Francisco International Airport. I am so excited to have this conversation. I mean, when do you ever get to talk to someone who literally works at the airport? So I'm excited. Be sure to join us next week at 3 o'clock, and please have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Have a great day, everyone.
See you, everybody.